afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. Just before I start, to say that the last two videos, the comments have been disabled. It's not me doing it. I've no reason to disable the comments, but I keep trying to enable them, and then something like a message comes through and then they just cut off again. You never really know what's going on, to be honest, and sometimes it just rectifies itself. I've had something similar before that basically just rectified itself. I did hear of another tarot reader having trouble with this, where her monetization was stopped or was reviewed because she'd put up a reading about what does your cat think about you, which made me laugh. But it's not me, and hopefully it will go back to normal, but if not, I'll try and get in touch with YouTube. Today's reading is going to be why people fall for you or fall in love with you. I suppose it's a bit of an experiment, really, to see what I can pick out from the cards. It may be something specific with regards to past relationships, somebody who's interested you at the moment, or just generally a bunch of people like friends. Let's just see what comes up. You've got three choices. Choice number one is Manta Ray Jew. Choice number two is Goat Peter Pine. Goat Peter and Heidi, my favourite. And number three is Skyfall Blue. So if you want to take a choice, and then we'll just get stuck in. Okay, I'm just going to start because I need to get out of my head what's in it. There's a feeling here, and I'll explain why I've come to my decisions. The Six of Air and the Lilith card here has got a journey that can often be quite painful. The Lilith is possibly a feeling of being able to fight, or not feeling that throughout life you've always felt included, but you've still got what I guess is guts and courage. There's something in that there. You've got the Justice card in the middle with the King of Swords. Makes me think of creative was something that's in here, but not particularly here. But there's a feeling of articulate, creative, and a fighter in here. Is probably why people find you attractive, or certain people find you attractive. Not everybody's going to find as attractive, because everybody's quite specific. They've got a certain set of values that they're looking for in somebody else. Things, most of the time, I think that we don't often feel at ease expressing ourselves. We see somebody else with it, and we see beauty in that, and we want it. So this is a feeling that whoever's attracted to you is attracting to somebody who can stick up for themselves, somebody who is intellectual, and I don't mean like sitting down reading books, but can understand their own mind, and they've got a strong sense of morals, is what I would guess here. And you're very, what I guess, Aquarian feeling of being quite fixed with those morals, with the King of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. So that could almost be like a set of values that could seem quite conventional, even though you're not. It's like you've got a basic set that you carry around with you. The Four of Swords, and this is where the creativity came. The Four of Swords, and I know you've got a cat. These cards are beautiful. The Four of Swords with the little cat and the pencil pot here, and the Eight of Wands makes me think of communication. Like you could be an artist, or you could be somebody who communicates in some way that is, you give a message to people that may not be straightforward, and they've got to somehow meet you in a middle ground. Were my first thoughts there. Independence, and often a lot of thinking, quiet, and then being able to articulate it in a way that's got fight. So, yay. You could be quite introverted, but you could be a shocker in the way that you may have a lot of spirit inside you. People tend to sense that you may not say a lot, or you may not feel that you have to make an impression or make an impact in a room. But there's like, nobody plays with you, nobody pushes you, and there's some people around you or past relationships that find that incredibly, incredibly attractive. You know your own mind, you've got strong sense of what's right, what's wrong, you fight for the underdog, you don't mind spending time on your own, you're a creative man or a creative woman who somehow articulates that, or part of your creativity, whatever it is, you don't have to be creative as an artist, but some people are just creative in the way that they find ways to get the results that they need in life. And there's something about that you will think outside the box, I would guess here. The Seven of Cups goes with this card over here, which made me think creative. The Chariot, again, is a fixed feeling of drive. So I'm interpreting that as you've got some gumption. You don't take things lying down, and people sense that you've got a sense of self and you've got strong boundaries. This is fantastic. And the Knight of Swords again down here is when you're pushed. I don't think it's something that you give your advice out freely, but when pushed either into a corner or asked, you give a very sort of well thought out, almost shocking response. So to sort of move this into a more personal situation, one-to-one lovers or people that you've been attracted to, what would they have seen, or how would you have come across that they would have found those, not articles, but those parts of you attractive? A reserved nature, a feeling of not having to talk if you haven't got anything to say, a strength about you, possibly that could often be relayed in the way that you stand, the way that you walk, the way that you present yourself, the way that you dress, just has a very quiet statement about it. There's a feeling here as well that you know yourself, even though you feel that you don't have to push yourself on people. There's a feeling here that you've got hobbies, that the way that you're interested in yourself is incredibly sexy for others who like to be independent with these cards here. Some people aren't looking for Klingons, and this is what this thinks, because this is like independence. This is Sagittarius, which is independence, and this woman's on her own as well, and this person's looking out. So I feel that you've got projects running in the sidelines, and you've got ideas and curiosity. To be honest, what this speaks of is wisdom, courage, and the ability to make your own life is where is your biggest asset, your biggest sort of, is it arsenal in love? You've got something in this going on in the background. You're a fighter, and you've got a real eye for beauty, I would say. And there may be something in that you fight for, wherever you find beauty, whether it's you find beauty inside other people. You've got a real sense of moral beauty, and you see that in others. But I feel that there's something more structured or worldly, that you find beauty in things that you see and design and that type of thing. And when you have this amount of observation, this amount of recognition of beauty in others, this is like a package that everybody would want to be, because you basically are love before you go searching for it. So it's no great surprise that people would find you incredibly, incredibly attractive. The Lilith card over here makes me think there's a bit of rub with it. Let me just put another one on Lilith here. Maybe you've learned how to be yourself through past situations, past relationships where people have pushed you a little bit, so you've had to assert who you are. You've had tears, but it's helped develop where you are now, or who you are now. You've gone in. It's feminine. This is feminine, Lilith, the High Priestess over it. Lilith, the feminine part of Lilith, is the one that's ostracised. And you've got here the Six of Air, which is a feeling of the woman and the child being guided. So you could also have been divorced, or you could have been through a past breakup that broke you but made you at the same time. And maybe, sorry if you can hear the rain, it's just going to have thunder this afternoon. With the High Priestess here as well, you could be interested in these sort of like self-searching type of methods. I'm going to have to start shouting because it is raining. Like tarot or astrology or psychology, maybe after a breakup, maybe you got your answers then and you found out who you were then. It feels like, why am I thinking of Rock Hudson? There's an old story I'll say this loudly, it may sound like I'm trying to be a granny in a rocking chair and give you a really loud old story, but there's an old story in an astrology book where Rock Hudson, who was incredibly handsome, years and years ago, I think he was like 50s, 60s, I don't really know, to be honest, and I can remember having a crush on him as a child, but they were looking at his solar return chart, and they were saying that although he was very quiet, he was the one that went to there was like a co-star who was poorly, and he was the one that kept turning up to hospital to go and see him. And with the Aquarius card here, which is the feeling I'm getting, he must have had quite strong in him somewhere. He was quiet. He didn't boast about, you know, what he was doing. He just basically slipped behind the curtain in the hospital and, you know, crept in and saw this coast. Don't think it was somebody who was famous, but it was like a sense of, it's a sense of not putting yourself above people, and it's a sense of loving everybody equally, is what I would say here, the Knight of Swords. And that comes from common sense, and which is common sense. Why would we not love everybody equally? You're fixed. There's a feeling here that once you set your mind to something, then you're gone. And it wouldn't surprise me whether you've had lots of very sort of fairy moon type people falling in love with you because they feel that you're not going to tie them down either, because you've got things in the background moving. Like, as I said, hobbies or interests, whatever they are, however creative they are, it's creative in your mind, whatever you're doing, because you're basically... It doesn't have to be hobbies. It could be in work. It could be just your mind that somebody's fallen in love with these cards here. But you don't change it. You're very focused because you've got the Devil and the Chariot card here, and you're very protective of your own ideas. That's why I keep saying fixed here. I'm looking here to see whether people see you as agreeable, and you've got the Justice card here. When I put this out, you know, do people fall for you because you've got that sort of diplomatic personality? I would say yes with the Justice card, but I don't actually think so in this pile here. This is a pile where you don't bother people. You are left to your own devices, and you know you're fine. But if somebody blocks you, or somebody is unfair, or somebody puts the Lilith card here being a fighter for equality, and there's a feeling here as well, maybe the Justice card, and perhaps they're moving away from things that have hurt. There's a feeling here, if you sense an underdog, you will fight for them, and people find that attractive in you. Whether it's just a conversation you've had where you've stuck up for somebody, or... You know, and people can smell that, can't they? Where you're coming from, what your nature is. You know, we're very, I'm going to say sensory based, but we're all animals really, and we can tend to sense what people are like very early on, I think. But some of us don't perhaps take it in because we get bamboozled by show at times, or people's looks, or just basically ticking a box that we desire. So let's start summing this up. Pile number one. Why do people fall in love with you? I feel that they fall in love with you because you're fair, but you're strong. I feel that you're creative, you're independent, you've got your own mind. I feel that you're very focused on things, that you quite passionately focused on things that give you things that ignite you, I would say here. And I feel as well that you look after others who need looking after. I don't know what your job is here, but I do feel as well that that sense of being quite courageous, quite focused, has helped you in your own life as well to be more rounded after what possibly could have been a breakup. So that's the package I'm getting, that people sense why they want to be with you, because you've got what I guess is a good sense of morals, a strong personality, you don't bother people, you're focused on yourself, and you know how to love in ways that I would suggest that you're wise, not stupid. I mean, I quite like silly in love, but I can understand that it's it needs to be backed up with something else, doesn't it? It's okay to be silly, but deep down underneath, it needs to be backed up with something a little bit more profound, I suppose, here. So that's what I've got. I'm going to leave that there, pile number one. Should I put one more card out? Why do I want to put one more out? Hold on. Well, again, it's the same thing. It's internal, it's strong, it's wise, it's somebody who knows where they stand, who they want to be. They've got an aim. This is like this to me is that you fall in love with people's moral beauty because that's what you're searching for in yourself, and you take bits that you admire from people to make yourself stronger, to make yourself who you want to be, and you don't care whether it's a long-term goal. It's just is something that you're always working on without knowing it, and that is beautiful. And that you fall in love with people fall in love with you because you recognise the beauty in them. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to leave that there, pile number 1. Thank you very much. Bye. Oh, just to say, readings should go out on Sunday night. I put them out not on YouTube. I put them out on my website, HULUPPU.co.uk, but I only have a handful because they go to Patreon people first. And if I have some left, then I'll put some out. Bye. Pile number 2, Goat Peter Pine. This has got a grandiose feeling to it, and people fall in love with you because you make moves in the world, I would say here. You've got the 7 of Air and the Palace card here. So initially I'm thinking of somebody who can take a different way forward, who does things that are unexpected. With the Palace card here, that you've done that from a period, or not a period, you've done that from a backdrop inside yourself where you've watched for a long time. You've found a gap, and I'm going to say a gap in the market here because you've got Sagittarius in the central pile here. So I'm thinking it's got to be broader than just making your own life move. I feel that you are somebody who doesn't take other people's rules. You ignore them, is what I'm thinking here. I feel that you make your own rules in life. There's not an independence. It's not the word I'm looking for, but there could be with Sagittarius. But it's the word I want to use, entrepreneur, but I don't really know what that means. It's like fiance, it just sounds posh, doesn't it? But it's like you've got your own mind and you can get big things started, is probably what I'm thinking. So it may not be the right word. The Wheel of Fortune, the Temperance card, both Sagittarius, both seeing the biggest picture. So there's something here that you can transcend situations in some way. Whatever that means is that you can see a certain problem or task. You think of a very creative way to make that task move forward in a way that you want it to, and then you actually do it because you've got the Ace of Pentacles twice here. So you've got you put your higher mind to good purpose and you then make it happen, which is an extremely, extremely potent combination for people to have. Most of the time we're all a little bit disjointed. Some people have great ideas. Some people basically make moves in the world without thinking too much. But this to me has got, you're like somebody who is strong, open, creative. You've got the Sun twice here, you've got the King of Wands, but you actually make situations real through what I guess is using the best part of your mind. And it wouldn't surprise me whether you're quite psychic. So to translate that to, feels like a work love, or somebody who admires you in work situations, or the way that your mind works in big moments. So I know I will try and translate it more to a more personal love, but at the moment this has got a very grand feeling to it. You've got the 3 of Cups down here, so to me it wouldn't surprise me, especially with this mindset that you may work incredibly well with groups. People admire the way that you think and the way that you take. You've got the capacity here with the Sun, the King of Wands, and the Sun and the Chariot card here to take other people's opinions on board. You're quite playful. Your mind is amazing. To me, I would say from this, your mind is amazing. It's like you're focused, but you're not focused enough to not take other people's views on board, and then you actually ground them, which is something else here. Maybe that's why you've got this. Yes, that's why you have. The 7 of Air and the Palace gives a mystical feeling to it, of being able to sense things and know where there is a hole in the market, whatever that means. It doesn't have to be the market, as I said here. But because you've got one foot in the water here, it's like you've got access to the higher mind, every vibrations that other people sometimes don't relax enough, or don't allow themselves enough, or haven't practiced enough, or it just isn't innate in them to be able to understand things that are left unsaid, things that are sensed, things that are almost deemed as mystical because we don't quite understand them. And then with the other foot on the earth here, you ground them. So to basically, to me, you're the whole package. The Ace of Cups as well, this has got a beautiful feeling of you're steady in yourself. You know who you are. You know what you can do. You know what you can give. You're focused. So it doesn't have to be just a work situation, but it could be just falling in love. You see possibly the best in people, and you may like things that are quite alternative in some way, things that are different. And there's an ability possibly to love in not a wide variety, but that could be possible with Jupiter there, but you just love. You find it difficult to find shitty bits in others because you've got what I guess is with the Jupiter there, a generous nature, and you actually do stuff about it. It wouldn't surprise me whether you work with groups. There's even a feeling here of being like a teacher, more secondary school teacher, or somebody who has a message, somebody who's got, and I said this in the first reading, but it's not, this next few words aren't as strong in here, but you may have more impact with it. There's a real moral standing of wanting life to be fair and to be good with that Jupiter feeling here, but you actually do more with it possibly than the first pile. The first pile feel more introverted, you're more extroverted with regards to your morals and your love, how you see people. And the teacher bit here, you don't have to be a teacher, but you bring the best out in people because you've got a group situation here, and the sun is bringing their bits that you see in them alive or alighting them in some way. Oh, yeah. The Ace of Cups here to me is one of the biggest cards because of the position that it's in and because of what you've got before it. The Ace of Cups is that ability, as I just said, to recognise beauty in others. And I feel that is, and I said this in the first pile, and I don't know whether it was the correct word, your best arsenal is that people, what is that? I don't know. But that people fall in love with you because you fall in love with them. There's something quite quirky about you, I guess, with these cards here as well. And there's something quite, you don't people please. With this Chariot card is focus, the Sun card is open, you are who you are, and then you just sit with who you are. That you're fine, you're happy with it here, and you're not easily swayed to either side here. There's too much going on. To me it feels like an old soul pile, this. People fall in love with you because you just come across as not needing anything, not really looking for people's approval. You fall in love with people big time. You see other people's moral beauty, and you see beauty in possibly lots of different. This feels more personal rather than beauty in life, you know, like photography or beauty in art. This is more like you see beauty in people. This to me is more people focused with the Wheel of Fortune and Temperance card. Sagittarius people tend to love lots of people. They're not specific about the traits that they find gorgeous. They just find lots of things gorgeous. Why not? It's one of those, this to me is like what's not to love type of middle pile here. And the Ace of Cups, I want to say the word exemplifies, I don't know if that is actually a word here, that you've got a lot of love to give, giving out innocence, charm, spontaneity, kindness, vivacity. I'm making these words up, I think, here, but the ability to actually do something with it. So it wouldn't surprise me whether you help people in life, bring the best out of people, whether you're a coach, and that is an easy one for me to use because it could actually be a PE coach as well, or, you know, a sports coach here with this card here. You actually make people's lives better. I don't know what you do, but you shine in whatever you do, and that's when people fall in love with you because you're a giver. You don't measure your love, you don't measure your gifts, you don't give people things and sit there saying, well, actually I did this for you last week, so surely you owe me this. It's like you give because that's who you are, and that is very much that Sagittarius energy. It's almost like you're fed from the universe and it just goes through you and keeps going through you. You don't feel that it's restrained or contained in any way, or that people can empty you. It's just who you are, and that to me is the most beautiful thing I think anybody could ever want. You work like a charm in everyday life. People just would, this energy, people would just, you may get a lot of envy maybe because it just seems to flow quite naturally through you with these cards here, and the fact that you get things done. and the fact that you do things differently. And that's why I said at the beginning an entrepreneur, because it's big energy. It doesn't really care about what others are thinking. It's very much just, let's just have a crack at this, let's see how it goes. And that may be your attitude to life in general. But you do things in a different way. And you're not, to me, this doesn't feel like competition in love or life. It's like you're just being, you're just giving, you're just trying. It's experimenting in a way that it burns through life in a very sort of exciting way. Right, I'm going to finish there, pile number 2. So, big pile. And to be honest, I'd fall in love with you like that. I really would. That is something that's magnificent. You have got a real balanced mixture of inner beauty, seeing it in others too, and actually living it, and that is something else. Okay, pile number 2, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to put readings out tonight when this goes out, if I can get it edited beforehand. So they will go onto my website, HULUPPU.co.uk. I can only put limited amount out because they go to Patreon people first, and if there's any left, then I'll put them on. Thank you very much for watching. Bye. Okay, pile number 3, which is Skyfall Blue. There's a different feel in this pile to the other piles here. You've got the Mother of Fire here, which doesn't really fit in with the rest of the reading, the rest of the cards on this side here, because the rest of the cards tend to be very watery, I suppose. Okay, this is what I've got here, that you fight, you're a fighter, that you care for people, and that you're got a very protective nature. So it wouldn't surprise me if you've got lots of water in you, maybe Cancer possibly here, because you've got Ceres down here. The centre pile has got the King of Cups, and you've got what I would guess is a very protective feel here. So to me, it feels like a real mother hen or a father cockerel, I suppose. There's just a feeling that you fight for loved ones, and people tend to sense that once people are in your tribe, then you're really in your tribe. There's a feeling that your protective nature or your ability to care for others brings out the best in you, because you've got the King of Wands at the bottom down here as well. And maybe that's what the Mother of Fire here. It wouldn't surprise me whether you are a mother or a father. This is what I'm thinking, it may be wrong here, but because you've got the King of Wands, I'm wondering, why have you got the Wands card in here and over here when the rest of it speaks of nurturing and being able to care for people and being very almost like psychic and empathic in the way that you love people. But this to me may possibly mean because... Oh, it's that one as well with it. Yeah, that's where I've got this idea from. It feels like through being a mother, being a father, or caring for somebody in some capacity, whether it's a parent or whether it's to do in your job, it's brought out, and this to me feels like a north node that you're moving towards. It's brought out something inside of you that is your most treasured or beautiful quality. It's like a stoic fight with a big heart type of feeling. The reason that it feels confusing to me, but it's not, it's just I haven't unravelled it yet, is the Five of Pentacles is a feeling of being shut out. So to me, I feel that you've cared for people, or you've put yourself through situations that have felt uncomfortable, that have felt heavy, but that has been what I guess is the making of you with regards to your love nature and why people find you attractive, because you stick through things, because you care for people. You're the type of person, I think, that would stay late if somebody in work was in trouble. But everybody else will say, look, it's 5:30, I'm off. And you may, can I say resent it? I don't really feel that resent is the word, but you may question yourself with the Five of Pentacles here, whether you're a mug at times or whether people take advantage of you. But you're winning the game with the Knight of Cups at the end here. And that is the ability to recognise, to be able to use your heart, I suppose. I can't think of a poetic way to say that. To be able to use it. And some people in life just don't do it, or just don't get that chance, don't recognise it. It's like beauty and motion, I would say, here with these cards here. Let's have a look at this big pile down here, which may give us an inkling to this pile here. The Knight of Swords is somebody who is articulate, bright, clever, focused, movement to do with the mind. Always looking forward, always trying to perhaps see the future, always got their mindset on something. The Chariot card, again, almost feels like a bit of fixed or a bit of focus and work. And the World card, okay, this is what it feels like to me. It feels like maybe when you were younger, you were perhaps very internal. Perhaps when you were a kid, you got stuck into things. You know, you could just basically get slightly engrossed into things and not be able to see sideways. The World card here makes me think you possibly got stuck into a relationship, whether it's with children, whether it's in a group in work, or whether it's with an adult or love relationship, which you focused on, you put that intensity into possibly here, because you've got the King of Cups here and the Knight of Cups at the end. That ability to fight brought out your best qualities with the King of Wands here and the Ceres, and that is the ability to care for somebody in a situation that you may now or may have felt slightly resentful for, whether it is work, whether it's children, whether it's love, I don't know, but it's like you need to thank the people that made you who you are, because you've got something here that speaks of tenacity, of being able to shoulder responsibility, which I always think is a bloody double-edged sword. And the Knight of Cups here as well, the ability to care, to love, to be empathic, to read people. It speaks of courage. It speaks of, I guess it's a feeling of temperance in here. It's like the ability to not be easily rocked because of what you've been through. I'm not saying it has to be drastic, but it's just been a character building situations, I would say here. And people fall in love with you because you've got what I guess is a kindness, you're agreeable with people, I would guess here, but not to the point of anymore, I would guess. Maybe you have been in the past of putting yourself out too much. You just give because that's who you are. But I feel that some situation has made you stronger, where you've probably made the decision to still keep giving, to still love, even though something didn't work out. And it may have burnt you. You got to that conclusion that I still want to be that person. There's a benevolence for others in here through hard work and through knowing yourself, and a caring. So if I was watching you, what would I see with regards to what impact would you make on people? I would say that you would be reasonably quiet. You would come across as very confident without having to say a lot. I would say that as well, not so much as in pile number 1, this next bit, but definitely in here, that when asked, you're very articulate. But I would guess that you get the job done. People rely on you, whether it's looking out for others, whether it's in a work situation, whether it's in a love relationship. You say what you're going to do and you basically do it. It hasn't got a slippery feeling in here where you possibly commit but don't really. You know, it's not got, I'm trying to say to blunt here, it doesn't look like it's full of sidestepping or trying to get out of responsibilities. There's a kindness, there's a compassionate nature, there's a mature ability to love big time in here, quite a romantic edge to you. I would possibly see that you're not easily messed with. There's like a confidence that has grown in this pile. And as I said, some situation, I would guess that you could look back into your past and say that situation made you in some way, and I don't know what it is, because here you're shut out and here you're carrying the can. And that to me, with the Knight of Swords here and the Ace of Swords here, is where you thought, aha, that felt like this, but I want to be this. Or I'm not happy in this situation, but now I know who I am type of feeling. You've still got, through a fight here, and this is something that's really important to me, because oftentimes I think when we talk about love in tarot readings and people come and, you know, and I've written a newsletter on this where we can be seen as being sort of immature 13-year-olds falling in love all the time, but love is our basic nature. It's just that you discover it, and, you know, well, that's wrong. It's just that you have discovered it. You know, you're living it. And other people are a little bit sort of more shut off from their love nature. I feel that You've had an instant in life which has very much reintroduced you to it in a big way, like, yeah, that's what it feels like. You recognise loving people. You recognise the need, or no, that's wrong. You recognise beauty in people. And so that opens you up to be able to love them. Again, as I said, that can be seen as romantic, but to me, it's common sense. And that is precious, to recognise beauty in life, whether it's in art, whether it's in other people, whether it's moral beauty, whether it's, you know, a design or a building. It doesn't really matter, but I feel that you have decided that's important already before, if you know what I mean, with this card here and these tougher cards on this side here. You decided, whether it was a lifetime before, I don't know, that you're going to care for people, that you're going to be considerate for people, that you're going to make people feel safe, even if it's tough, because that's who you're going to be, that's who you want to be. And people can play up around you, but it's almost like the Five of Pentacles. You'd rather be shut out and them to realise it's their loss than rather you play down to their bad behaviour possibly here. You know, you own your emotions, you own your ability to love, and that's why you're so attractive. Not easily shaken, strong, focused, strong boundaries, fierce with your love, protective with your love, empathic, and romantic still. And romance is nothing to be sniffed at. Romance is just hope, optimism, and recognising the good bits in others, is what I think. What you do with it may be up to you, but I don't have a problem with that. So pile number 3, I'm going to leave you there. Should I summarise before I go? A couple of lines. I feel that through some incident in this lifetime or at the past lifetime, you've been very much aware of how strong your love nature is, and that caring and being there for others and being very much connected with them mentally, psychically in some way is something that gives you a kick and you enjoy, because you feel like you've basically got hold of why we're here anyway. And so when people play you up, it's like, that's your loss, that's what you think, that's your loss. I'm on a path, I'm on a journey which has a North Node feeling, and I'm happy with who I am, so do what you will. I'm developing, this is me and my love nature, and it's big with that card here, the King of, these cards are beautiful lot. So maybe some past hurt here, but it's all a journey for you, and I think you're happy with who you are, and I think people will sense that, and there's a strength behind you that's quite formidable. Okay, pile number 3, Skyfall Blue. I'm going to love you and leave you there. I will put readings out tonight. I don't know how many I've got, to be honest, because I normally put them on Patreon first, and if there's any left, I'll put them on the website. But well, hopefully I'll see you again. Thank you very much. Bye.